Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal again, and the word of today is triggered. Now, for those of you who come to the broadcasts on Fridays and Sundays, and for those of you who don't know, we do 3 broadcasts a week on YouTube. The first one at 12 noon Pacific time and the second one we do at 7 p.m. on a Friday Pacific time, and then we do another one at 3:30 on a Sunday. So for those of you who have been coming to those broadcasts, the chances are that you will have heard me say the words, and I got triggered. Now, it struck me that some of you might not know what that feels like or what it is like, and I thought I'd give you an example of it. I was talking to somebody just recently, and I was in a perfectly calm, serene, happy little place. My day was going beautifully. And this person said some stuff that totally took me out of that space. Now, I realize that I took myself out, and I'll be talking about that, but this is basically what happened. First of all, they asked something about the comparables on my house. For those of you who don't know, I'm busy selling my house at the moment. So they talked to me about comparables on my house, and I said I'm not really interested in the comparables. And then it came back, well, you should be, basically. It was, or I think it even came back that my realtor wasn't doing a good job. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but that started to trigger me. I started to feel myself get sucked into this. What I heard was a judgment of my realtor. And I know I came back with a comment that said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that you've been listening in on the conversations and negotiations that my realtor and I have been having." Because how do you know whether, they've had, discussions with me about things or not? Anyway, the thing was, basically, I said the reason I'm not interested in the comparables is because there is nothing comparable to my house. I have a very unusual house, and there are other half duplexes in the neighborhood, not as big. There are other half duplexes in the neighborhood, but not with a completely self-contained suite. 2-bedroom one at that. There are other townhouses, but they're not duplexes. There are row houses, but not duplexes, you understand? So nothing quite compares to my incredible home. And then, there may be some that are similar, but not as old. You see, so you've got to look at all of that, unless you get something that is comparable, right? It's similar age, similar type of house, similar everything. It's not really a comparable. Does that make sense? And so that's why I said, I quite honestly, I looked at what they had, but nothing was comparable, so why would I be interested? I can see what a 3-bedroom goes for. Yes, that's interesting. But I've got 5. I can see what a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom goes for, but I've got 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. So, so to me, the comparable is only of value if it's comparable. I'm hoping that makes sense to you guys. So, anyway, but by now I'm already a bit tweaked because I'm hearing that I didn't do... Oh, and then I got asked, well, did they give you a good price? And I said, what do you mean a good price? Well, did they give you a good price on the commission? I said, I didn't ask for one. Well, they should have given you one because, you're a friend. I'm going, now I'm really triggered, right? So now the little bit of a trigger becomes a much bigger one. Now you're telling me that my friends ripped me off. That's the inference. And I said, you know something? They didn't rip me off. I didn't even ask for them to give me a better price. And why? I know that they have a set price, and I've known these people for 30 years. I've heard this conversation time and time again, people nickel and diming over the commission. And yes, I understand there are other realtors that would give me a better deal on the commission. I don't want other realtors. I want the realtor I've got, because there are the realtors that sold me my house. They know my house well, they know me well, they know how not to pressurize me too much. They know, how to do this with me in a way that's worth more than money to me. Do you guys understand? Some things are worth more than money. And for example, I rent out my suite, my 2-bedroom suite, at less than the going rate in the area. Why? I value the people in it. To me, it's not about the money. It's about, I want to keep the people that are already there. So to me, not everything is about money, money, money. It's about, how do I do this with the least amount of stress? How do I do this in a way that honors me and suits me and so forth? And so, but what I'm trying to explain to you is, each time one of these things came down at me, it pushed my buttons a little bit more, and that's called being triggered. So I went from being perfectly peaceful to now being angry. The other thing that really pushed my button was, why talk about this now? Why talk about this after I've already signed all the documents and everything is tied up legally? If you wanted me to be doing a deal at a lesser commission rate, why didn't you talk to me about that 3 months ago or even 6 months ago? Goodness knows we've been talking about this stuff for long enough, right? And the answer is, because they didn't get it. That the only thing that can be achieved by having this conversation after everything has been signed, sealed, and tied down is to make me feel guilty. Make me feel that I didn't, or to make me think that I have a bad vibe about my realtor. I don't want a bad vibe about my realtor. I don't have one. I believe they will do the best they can for me, as they always have. The talking about this after the deal has done is a total waste of energy and emotion. And that's what made me angry. I realized when I sat down and thought about it afterwards. There was an insinuation that my friends were ripping me off. My friends, but the realtors, are ripping me off. There was an insinuation that I was stupid because I hadn't renegotiated the deal. I didn't want to. I had absolutely, didn't even cross my mind to negotiate a better deal on the commission. Why? Because they're my friends. And friendship goes both ways, not just mine. Friendship goes both ways. And so, I look at all these things, and the thing that really pushed me over the edge was, why discuss this with me now? I really, I really have to tell you, it's a total waste of energy. And so now, here's what happened. He stormed off, not happy, and I understand why, and muttering things about, well, I thought that, you wanted input on this stuff. Well, yeah, I do, but not when it's after the event. So what I did is, after I'd had a chance to settle down a bit, I started to think about it all. And what I thought about was, okay, what is all this stuff? Yeah, there's anger in there, that's emotion. If it's anger, then it's my stuff. There is, I'm upset at the fact that I feel my friends it was suggested that they were ripping me off. That's emotional stuff, so that's my stuff too. I need to look at that. And then there was this thing about my anger about the fact, hey, this deal is already done. What on earth are we doing discussing it now? My stuff. See, it's all about my reaction to what was said. So then when I processed that through, because this is our learning this year about looking at our emotional intelligence, all of that was emotional stuff. And if it's emotional, it's on me because I reacted. I got sucked in. And so what I did is I sat down and got calm, very calm, got back into that calm space. And then I wrote a letter of apology, an email. And I said, I'm sorry. I do believe that at some level you were trying to protect me. Can you see that even that whole conversation about did you negotiate a better rate on the commission was trying to get me a better deal? I can see that in the best possible scenario. You know, when I looked at each part of it, I could see that there could have been a very good intent. And so that is the letter that I wrote. The email that I wrote, which is, I understand that your intent was probably, I didn't know for sure, was probably to protect me, and for that I thank you. And then I stated my case, why I got triggered. Not that it really matters, because I'm only responsible for my behavior, not his. And by the way, I wasn't nasty at all. I just apologized for the fact I got triggered. And then I did not expect a reply, right? And this is what I want to get over to you. Don't expect a reply, because not everybody will be able to do that. Not everybody will be able to calm it down and reply to that. So I didn't expect a reply. Funny enough, I got one. And I got one saying, yes, that was my intent. And, you know, that's good. So I want you to see that what the trigger is what moves me out of a place of peace. That is a trigger. Something where 1 minute I am perfectly at peace and calm, and the next minute I am angry, frustrated, or upset. I have been triggered by something. And the work that some of us are doing is to really work on these triggers this year, to really be aware of what it is that was said that created the dis-ease or disease, the dis-ease in my body, the anger, the hatred, the frustration, the whatever. That's all dis-ease stuff. I don't want that anymore. I'm working really hard to let that go. And the best way to let it go is to be able to look at it and say, okay, it's all emotional stuff. It's emotional. It's on me. I need to apologize. It's not about who's right. It's not about whether he was wrong and I was right. It's about I reacted. The intent could have been really good, in which case I need to apologize. End of story.